Coming to you from the My Michigan TV studios.
We're going to kick you in the teeth.
It's the Roar Live.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
With hosts, the outsider, Scotty Williams.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Mr. Tell It Like It Is, Corey Tiez.
The quicker you accept that, man, the better off we're all going to be.
With special guests, Lion fans across the nation.
It's our core foundation, man. We're it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Roar Live, streaming on My Michigan TV, YouTube, Facebook, and beyond. You can also find us in audio form on your favorite podcasting platform. Just search for the Cohen Bro Opinion Show. Final from Levi Stadium tonight in Santa Clara, California. Detroit Lions 40 and the San Francisco 49ers 34. So much to talk about tonight, and we want to hear from you. So just click on the QR code on the screen to get in on all the action. If you like being heard but not seen, the Roar Chat is just for you, and you can express your comments and questions in the chat. This week's Roar question of the week. What position on the Detroit Lions has produced the most Pro Bowlers? Is it A, defensive backs, B, running backs, C, linebackers, or D, offensive tackles? We'll have the answer at the end of the show. Corey, you better get your answer on that. What are you thinking? What are you thinking on that?
That's a tough one for me. Like I don't know. So much losing, so much non-making the Pro Bowl. I can't. I can't.
Well, the Roar poll question is active also. Would the Detroit Lions, being the 5th seed, be an easier road to the NFC Championship? We'll talk about it tonight. Make sure to get your answers either on Zoom or in the chat. Corey will have his comments and concerns. And, of course, he will have a Tell It Like It Is. But first, it's now time for the game highlights.
Highlights.
San Francisco would strike first. Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall, 3-yard TD, 7-0 San Francisco early. The Lions strike back. Jamison Williams catches a 3-yard touchdown pass from Jared Goff. But Jake Bates' extra point is going to be blocked. 7-6 San Francisco to end the scoring in the first quarter. Then, 14:53 in the second quarter, Kyle Kuzusnik grabs the 9-yard TD pass from Brock Purdy, 14-6 San Francisco. Going back and forth and back and forth. Lions would not be denied. 41-yard pass to Jamison Williams. Lions down by 1, 14-13 San Francisco. Then 6:13 left in the second quarter. Purdy keeps it and runs it in for a 9-yard touchdown run, 21-13 San Francisco. The second half, the Lions would strike first. Sam Laporta grabs a 6-yard TD from Goff. Tim Patrick would then take the 2-point conversion, and it's 2021. It's all tied up. San Francisco strikes back. Purdy to Samuel for a 5-yard catch. TD, 28-21. San Francisco takes back the lead. Then with 4:25 left in the third, Mr. Bigfoot Jake Bates hits a 57-yard field goal. Lions down by 4, 28-24. The Lions would go on the hunt. 4th and goal, the Lions would strike again. Goff to St. Brown. Bates hits the extra point, 31-28 Lions. Then Jake Bates with a 42-yard field goal. Boom goes the dynamite, 34-28 Lions on the prowl. Detroit would add on with a 30-yard TD run by Jahmyr Gibbs. Whoa, Nelly. Jake Bates would miss the extra point, 40-28 Lions. San Francisco would try to make it a game. San Francisco's backup quarterback, Josh Dobbs, runs in a 7-yarder, but Jake Moody missed the extra point. That's how the scoring ended, 40-34. Lions get the victory, heading into the last game at Ford Field for the number 1 seed and the Division North Championship title, whatever you want to call it. Corey, what did you think of this game?
Meaningless.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was much. I mean, San Francisco has been hurt all year. I will give them credit for coming out and putting up a fight. You know, they came out. These two teams don't really like each other. They have a little history.
Yeah.
And, you know, San Francisco came out and got right to it, scored, moved the ball downfield really well. But the Lions, being the Lions, you know, they can score with anybody. To show you how much I know, I didn't think I wouldn't have played the starters. I wouldn't have played golf. I wouldn't have played. The game was meaningless.
Do you think it was meaningless, or do you think they had a grudge because of what happened last year in giving up that game? Do you think they had something to prove tonight? I mean, because they did come back to win this game.
I don't know if they even thought about it like that. I just think that the mentality of their coach and the team is to play, you know, every game with what they call their grit. You know, they're going to play every game to the fullest, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like it matters, you know, what the standings are or what's at stake. They're going to go play, and they're going to play who's ever on the schedule. But I thought it was meaningless. I wouldn't have played my starters or anything like that to take a chance of next week. Next week is the game that's going to tell the tale, you know, moving forward in the playoffs.
Well, speaking of the Roar poll question, do you think it's going to make a difference if the Lions get the 1st seed or if they end up getting the 5th seed? I mean, they played good on the road all year long. I mean, of course, you want them to have the number 1 seed.
Well, you always want to have it. It's an easier road, but again, the Lions are good enough to win on the road. They're good enough to win at home. I don't want to hear we need the 2 game to get to. No, you're the Lions. You're the best team in the NFC. Shouldn't matter.
Right.
It should not matter. I don't want to hear that we, you know, home field. I don't want to hear that. The playoffs start.
New season.
Everything is thrown out. The 13-2, the 14 and whatever they're going to finish. The playoffs start. New season. Take it game by game, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we want to hear from you. Join us right now. Give us a call on the QR code up on the screen. Just take your phone and click that QR code, and you can get in on the action. If you want to be heard but not seen, that's okay. The Roar chat is active also. Jimmy from Brighton, his answer to the Roar question is B. On that Roar question, we will find out at the end of.
What was that question? Most Pro Bowlers?
The question was, what position produced the most Pro Bowlers?
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
For the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
He said B.
He said running back?
Running backs. Now, Pro Bowlers
it,
gone
Barry
back
every year?
to the 50s.
Well, it was Barry every year, right? It had to be.
So we'll find that out. Running back. He also says we want to win out, no 5th seed. So Jimmy from Brighton. And Lewis from Detroit says, we don't care about any seeding. Lions will go to Super Bowl, and D is his answer to the question.
Yeah, I like that. I don't care about that. Playoffs are playoffs.
Right.
We don't care about the seeding.
Yeah.
Do
Lewis
what you do.
from Detroit said D, offensive tackle. Lions have had some good offensive tackles.
I would have to. I'm not giving my, but I would probably lean towards that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, coming up on the Zoom, we have a caller, and if I'm not mistaken, it is Hollywood Reg. How are you, Hollywood, from Birmingham, Alabama? How are you this week, Reg?
I'm good, Scotty. How about you guys, Corey?
Good.
How did you see the game? I'm assuming you did. You're still up.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, we saw it. So it was a good game. You know what? It seems like they're gonna all be high-scoring games. Who gets the ball last?
Sure.
Going to be the team that's going to win. I haven't seen anybody stop them yet, and I haven't seen them stop anybody really. I mean, outside of teams like Indianapolis or some of those, some of the better teams. It's exciting football. It's exciting brand. You get used to Dan Campbell in the fourth down and his fourth down plays. So he tends to make most of them. So you kind of just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was a couple of them. I was talking to Jared while we were in here watching the game, and I said, when he was going when they scored on the 4th and goal on 4th down, I was like, just get the 3 points, but it ended up working for him.
Hey, you know what? I sent you guys a text last week. I think I sent it to Corey, talking about defense and offense. And the bottom line always is in sports, particularly in football, is offense sells tickets, defense wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw that tonight, the 2 picks that caused them to really win the game.
Yeah.
Well, listen, do you think the Lions, if they don't get the number 1 seed, do you think the 5th seed wouldn't be that bad of a deal for them if they had to go into the playoffs as the 5th seed?
I'd rather see them go in as the number 1 seed because they get a rest. They had, when was their bye week? Back like week 3, 4, something like that.
Yeah.
They had early, so they've been playing straight through. I'd rather see them get the number 1 seed. If they got the 5th seed, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it's always best to have the number 1 seed at home throughout the entire playoffs. That's what you want. That's what you want.
Well,
And
Kyle from Westland chimed in on the Roar chat. He says, great show, guys. Lions need home field, but a punched-in-the-mouth Lions team, if they don't, could be very interesting. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to see them have home field all the way through the playoffs, but, the Vikings have been playing pretty good football.
They have.
Now, was it surprising to you that the Packers kind of made their way back into that game?
No. The Packers are a good football team. They are a good football team. Again, it's that North, those 3 teams, they're very good football teams. I'm not surprised how Minnesota's been playing either. They have really excelled. And people have kind of forgotten and not talking about them a lot, But, hey, we'll see. I mean, like you said, Reg said the 5th seed, but what he did also, the home field advantage is always a good thing to have, and they will get rest. That's the key. They need some rest. That's why I was alluding to, I wouldn't have played, this is just me, I wouldn't have played everybody, this game meant nothing. The game that matters is next week. I wouldn't have played anybody. I wouldn't have took the chance of, you got Gibbs out there running like he's running. I wouldn't have took a chance on that, but I'm not the coach. So that resting up and that home field advantage, it will play a big part into their success, I think. But again, with that being said, these are the Lions. They've outshined and they look better than anybody. Like I said, they're going to score. They're going to go into that game, go into playing the Lions, be prepared for them to score at least 35 points, at least at the low end. So, you know what I mean? At the low end. It's just a matter of who are they going to stop.
I thought Jefferson ran pretty good tonight. And even though Montgomery is going to probably be back for the playoffs, they haven't missed a beat, Reg. Jamison Williams played spectacular tonight, along with Gibbs. Those guys really did the job. And even Laporta. It's nice to see Laporta getting in on the action.
Well, you know, compared to early in the season and the maturation of Jamison Williams, the Lions' offense is almost unstoppable. I don't see anybody out there able to start. They got too many weapons. You got the outside receivers, you got the tight end, and you got Jahmyr Gibbs. And when Montgomery is back, now you got a two-headed monster. I remember when who was it? Was it the Cleveland Browns had a two-headed monster, Ernest Biner, and I forget the other back's name, and nobody could stop him. So and Goff is playing Pro Bowl caliber. So the Lions is a full package, and the defense is playing within themselves, and they're making the play when they need to make the play.
Well, Reg, the Roar question of the week. What position on the Detroit Lions has produced more Pro Bowlers? Is it A, defensive backs, B, running backs, C, linebackers, or D, offensive tackles? What is your answer?
Wow,
You've done fairly well on these questions, Reg.
Yeah. On this one, you know, they've had, I kind of like the offensive line, offensive tackles. Wasn't Lomas Brown an offensive tackle? What was he?
Yeah,
I think so.
He was either a guard or a
Yeah.
tackle. I think he was a tackle.
I think it was a tackle.
You know, when you get the running backs, you know, you had Barry, Billy, and the question's not how many times they were Pro Bowlers, it's how many of them.
Right.
So you have Billy, Barry, and then maybe Mel Farr. So I don't know if they've had a number of running back Pro Bowlers. I'm going to say offensive tackles.
Okay.
I think going back to the 50s, and I'm kind of thinking offensive tackle.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a prediction next week?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be the Lions.
Okay.
You know what? Quarterback from Minnesota. I just realized he's on a 1-year contract, so he's playing for his future. And I'm thinking that's adding a lot to his game and to his ability to do what he's doing. He's got a good cast around him and everything, but I don't think they're going to be able to handle Detroit.
Well, Reg, of course, it's always the pleasure to have you on the show, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
We will see next week.
Yes, we will. It's all on the line then.
It's all on the line.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if they win, a lot of people are going to give it to Corey. I can feel it.
If they win what?
If
Minnesota?
they win the division and they get that #1 seed, I think people are going to be calling in,
That-
giving
they-
it to you, man.
For what? They still haven't won nothing.
Well, it's baby steps. Baby
Corey,
steps.
he hasn't downed him. He's been really supportive of him.
Hey, listen, I just think it's, like I said, I think it's the defense. And Darno's been lights out. Darno is throwing elite footballs.
He
Me personally, I think Minnesota comes in and beats them, to be honest with you. That's just my thinking.
Yeah, we're going to see.
It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be easy at all.
No.
It's going to be like
easy at all.
as the ball lands.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be, like it always is with the Lions.
Thanks, Reg, for calling in tonight, and we hope to talk to you next week after a Lions victory.
Thanks for having me on, and yeah, we'll be ready to celebrate.
All right, sounds good, Reg. Hollywood Reggie from Birmingham, Alabama. We want to hear from you. Also, there is the QR code up on the screen. Just click that QR code to get in on
the QR code
action, just like Hollywood Reggie.
Yep.
And if you don't want to be heard, but you want to be heard but not seen, just like Robert from Flint. He says A to the answer, defensive backs, to our Roar question. And he said a pissed Lions team could be scary. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm assuming that means if they lose to Minnesota next week.
Well, they are scary.
Yeah.
Offensively, they're a juggernaut. And Laporta is the key to me. Everybody else knows You know, Jamison he's found his niche. Gibbs is ridiculous. Amon-Ra is going to do what he does. The Lions going to do what they do. And Golf has been playing lights out. The key is Laporta. If he goes nuts, it's going to be hard to beat.
Demetrius from Detroit says Lions are in. Who cares where they play?
There you
Doesn't
go.
care.
There you go.
C is the answer to his question. That would have been linebackers.
Yeah.
Lions have had some good linebackers in the past.
They have. I like the. This is a tough one. This is actually a very good question. But I like that last comment. Let's not get into this. Oh, we need the first seed. Let's not get into that. That's loser mentality. Stay with the course. Stay with the roller coaster. You've been beating everybody all year. Who cares about the seed? Who cares? It's the playoffs.
Well, up on the Zoom, we have another guest. And, of course, it's our old buddy Eastvale, Joey from Eastvale, California. We missed you last week, Joe. I know you were out on the golf course again in some great weather. But let's talk about Lion football. What did you think of the game tonight? I know you had to see it.
Yes, I did, Scott. I saw the game. It was quite exciting, a little scary in the first half, but they pulled it together and came out the strong second half. Kirby Joseph made a couple of huge picks, which turned the game around pretty much. So pretty satisfied with the victory. I think they should have won, this week against San Francisco, but our defense is just decimated, and it's tough to get victories in the NFL these days if you don't have a full squad of your best players.
I just noticed this, Corey. Do you see the logo behind him here? Does that say EVJ?
It says EVJ. Wow.
It says EVJ.
And it looks like it's lit up. Is that in lights, or is that just?
It is in lights, Scott. It is in lights.
Unbelievable.
Like that?
That's awesome, Joe.
I got my own. I have my
He's
own
got the
camera
chain.
down.
He's got the lion behind him and his initials in the back. That is
Can you
amazing.
see the number? Here's my player of the game tonight, right there.
He's going with Gibbs.
Player of the year.
That's right.
Go back to Joe said something. He said I want to go back to your best players on defense. I keep asking you guys, who are these best players that's hurt? And I don't want to hear Hutch. We know Hutch is hurt.
Anzalone.
Okay, so
Anzalone. Who's the best?
Anzalone, freaking. I think Alim McNeil is the biggest deficit we have is in the middle on the defensive line.
I would agree.
And then Anzalone and Malcolm Rodriguez are two solid linebackers that we miss dreadfully. I think Darius Smith has played reasonably since he came into the mix. But we've had some. Khalil Dorsey went down. He's a major factor on special teams. It was disappointing to see that happen to him.
Yeah.
Who else? What's his name? Carlton Davis. Huge on the defensive secondary. So those are big injuries there, all of them. And I didn't even mention Hutch. For you, Corey, I didn't even mention him.
Well,
Shout out to
Joey,
Hutch.
the question of the week, the Roar question of the week, what position on the Detroit Lions has produced more Pro Bowlers? You've had some good answers in the previous questions.
Yep.
Is it A, defensive backs, B, running backs, C, linebackers, or D, offensive tackles? What is your answer?
I can't think of any running back other than Barry Sims that was a Pro Bowler. I don't think Billy Sims ever made the Pro Bowl. And I can't think of any offensive linemen that were Pro Bowlers because, the Dallas years when Dallas was rolling and San Francisco were rolling, when they were going back and forth with Super Bowl wins, they were dominant with their Pro Bowl selections. And, that was the era of Lomas Brown and those guys, and they were great, but, their team records never showed it, so they never got the nod. So, you know, and heck, I don't know. I'll go with defensive backs. How about that?
Defensive backs.
You know,
We've had some good
and I have
defensive
no
backs in
idea.
Detroit.
I have no idea what defensive backs. It had to have been a long time ago, but I can only think of one or two. Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs, I think, wasn't he a Pro Bowler last year, or was he
He was
just
a Pro Bowler
a
last
rookie?
year. Yeah, Jameer Gibbs did make it to the Pro Bowl.
He did.
So you're going defensive backs. Interesting.
So I can only count two, running backs, and I have no idea. I'm just shot in the dark. I'm going to go with defensive backs.
Okay.
Jameer Gibbs was your player. Jameer Gibbs was your player of the game. I would say he was probably be my player of the game. He was electric tonight once again.
He was. He was. You know, he's filled in that role. Of first running back. He was able to hit holes quick, hard, make cuts to get through holes. You know, that big touchdown run in the fourth quarter was a great run, 30-yard run. He just when they needed an offensive play that wasn't a pass play, they gave him the ball and he made it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to. I can't wait to see if maybe Montgomery comes back. But I mean, it's almost like a light switch was turned on in this kid.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking to this kid all year. He puts me in the mind of Marshall Faulk. Faulk's a little smoother, but he'll get there. You know, he'll get there. He'll get to that level. He's something special to watch. And when Montgomery comes back, now Johnson's going to have to dial up, some more packages. But right. I think they can go all the way with this kid. He's something special. It's almost like one of those situations where you like, wow, are we really watching this? You know what I mean? Like, are we really seeing this? Every week there's something, a catch out of the backfield. Today he had a block. He even blocks.
Oh man!
So you know
that
what I mean?
block
So,
was huge too.
Yeah, this kid is lights out, no question.
He is.
Are you excited? Player. Are you excited to see Laporta get a little bit more involved in that offense, too, Joe?
Absolutely, man. It's good to see him, be, part of the check down system and he's running good routes. He always has run pretty good routes. Mm-hmm. I think he's just kind of recovered from injuries a little bit. He had lower extremity injuries, and he's getting off of blocks and making good cuts, and he's open enough for Goff to get the ball to. Goff had some zip on his ball tonight too. That I've talked a couple times in recent weeks. He's looked like he's had some wobbly balls, but he had some zip on his ball tonight, and I think that made a difference on a bunch of throws. And he played solid all game too. So hats off to him.
Yeah, Sam Laporta 6 for 64 and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown scored again.
Mm-hmm.
He was 8 for 60. Mm-hmm. Jameson Williams, of course, 5 for 77. Mm-hmm. But like you said, Jameer Gibbs, 18 for 117 and a touchdown. But you know what? I would have to give Goff a attaboy, so to speak. I would go with Jameer Gibbs as my player of the game. But Goff, 26 of 34, did not throw a pick. When I thought they were gone down early with the 49ers, that's when you kind of look at Goff and you say, that's when mistakes can happen. But he stayed mistake-free tonight.
Yeah, Goff has showed a lot of maturity this season when it comes to keeping his head in the game and staying steady with the game plan. Tonight would have been a night for him to maybe make some mistakes, due to nerves, because he had his family. He's from Northern Cal, and his family and friends were there. You might have thought that he might have made a big mistake, but he was just in the game. He was in his zone. He played solid all game long. He never seemed rattled. Made good throws all game long. Threw the ball away when he needed to. Didn't fumble. He played a solid game and showed a lot of maturity tonight, I think for sure.
Well, before I let you go, Joe, the Roar poll question is: would the Lions, being the 5th seed, be a easier road to the NFC Championship? What is your thoughts on that?
With the Lions being the 5th seed,
Yes,
no.
if they lose next week to the Vikes.
No, that's not going to be an easier road. If you put an extra game in there for anybody, it's a more difficult road. You know, they will, the Lions with their injuries on defense and even offense, they will benefit by having an extra week off or a bye week, and as any team will. It will not be an easier road if they were the 5th seed. I think they need to punch the Vikings right in the mouth, right where they need to be punched, and show them who's boss in the NFC North. And I think that's the Lions. So I hope we put on a good show next week. Our offense continues to roll with a strong running game, good passing game, solid game plan. And if our defense can make a few stops and get a pick or two, that's what it boiled down tonight. In the second half was being able to get a couple stops, and they were able to do that. And the turnovers, the interceptions by Joseph were huge. So it changed the tide of the game.
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure as always having you on the show. And we love that EVJ and Lion logo in the back. I mean, he's gone all out since he came on the show.
Hey,
he was on the show, I believe, in preseason.
Yeah.
He came on.
He's going all out.
Yeah, you can thank my daughter for the EVJ thing. It was,
Okay.
It's a good touch, I think. I like it.
I like it, yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to my buddies who coined the little EVJ nickname here, so it's kind of funny. They're calling me EVJ now when they see me, so
Right.
It's kind of funny.
Will that, like, if you're back on the golf course again in the playoffs, are we going to be able to see the EVJ Lion symbol behind you if you're going to be reporting from the golf club?
That might be a stretch there, Scott. I don't have a whole lot of room in my golf bag, so we'll see. Maybe I'll race home just to be able to make an appearance on this fine show.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming on with us tonight, and we hope to talk to you next week after a Lions victory.
All right.
I will look forward to it. Victory or no victory, I'm still going to look forward to it. But yes, we're looking forward to the victory speech of next week. Yes, indeed.
Eastvale Joey on the Zoom call. We want to hear from you. You are watching the Roar Live right here on My Michigan TV, YouTube, Facebook, and beyond. We've had some really good conversations tonight with Eastvale Joey and, of course, Hollywood Reggie from Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
And, of course, we've had a lot of people on the chat. Alan from Taylor says, the Lions need this adversity. No worries. The Vikes should be worried. And B is his answer to the Roar question, and I believe that is running backs.
Okay.
Andy from Livonia. Awesome show. Love the Roar Live. Thank you, Andy. Not worried about the Lions' opponents. Playoffs are a new season. He says A is his answer to the Roar Live question, and that was defensive backs.
Okay.
Well, everybody loves you, Co.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Especially, let's see here. There was one that came in here. I have to read this one. Love it. Oh, here it is. Mike from Birmingham. Loving the late night Lions talk. Look, seeding doesn't matter. Lions are gritty. Corey needs to find a new team. Cowboys lick.
Well,
He says he loves you.
I love him too, and I love the comment, and I love the dialing into us, and you appreciating the show. I can't get away from the Cowboys. I can't do it.
Okay.
It's been in my DNA since the 70s.
Okay.
Kind of tells you how old I am. But yeah, I'm Staubach, Danny White, Romo, Dak, Quincy Jones, or Quincy Carter, whoever it is, Dan Campo. I can't. Aikman. I'm not leaving. I'm not jumping ship. Can't do it.
San Diego Cam chimed in on the Roar chat. Lions need to worry a bit. They're being exposed in the run game. With injuries, it's not looking pretty. He says he prefers the number 1 seed, and he said C is his answer to the Roar Live question of the week. And if I'm not mistaken, that would be the answer would be linebackers. That was his pick for that.
Okay.
Noah from St. Clair Shores, no worries. I'd rather them figure it out before the playoffs. A is his answer, defensive
backs. Okay.
Well, of course, the guy from Birmingham here loves you. Do you have a tell it like it is tonight?
I do, Lions fans. And he's like, who was that last at the running game? Okay, so
That was San Diego Camp.
I would be a little worried here. And like today's game was, Lions took care of business, and I like how they just came out and played hard and scored and did what they do. My concerns here, and I'm going to tell you guys like it is, like I always do. I'm not going to hold anything back. First of all, congrats, again to the Lions for the season, like the 13-2.
Sure.
Never been done before. Great. Now they're at the big girl. They're at the cool girl table. They're not the the movie Mean Girls, like get in, loser. It's before it was get in. Now you're at the cool table now. Enjoy it. Stay there. And this is why it's so important that I think Ben Johnson should stay, because I think he and Goff are tied together. I don't think Goff and Campbell are tied together. I think it's a Ben Johnson, Jared Goff thing to me. But here we go. So I'm going to name some teams here.
Okay.
Eagles, Minnesota, Green Bay, Rams, Kansas City, Washington, Buffalo, and Baltimore. Those are the teams that could eventually prevent you from getting to the NFC Championship or winning the Super Bowl. All right? The Eagles' defense is number 1 with a very, very good offense. They can score with anybody, too.
Saquon going for 2,000.
Okay, so here we go. Minnesota's number 2 defense. Addison and Jefferson are nightmares with a running game, with a defense. Green Bay defense is number 5. I like Love. I like Love and LaFleur. Rams, Stafford almost beat you by himself. Their defense is 13. When they're healthy, they're scary. Kansas City, enough said. Mahomes, Reed, their defense is 13th. The Commanders, kryptonite of the Lions, mobile, exciting quarterback with a defense of 17. And lastly, Buffalo and Baltimore. You've seen what Buffalo can do. When you play Buffalo, they were injured, and they still beat you. Baltimore has a 3-headed monster, Lamar, and Henry. Which defense is going to be the best out of all these teams? And Tampa Bay scares me a little bit. Out of all those teams I just named, which defense is going to outplay the Lions' defense? And can the Lions stop their offenses? Can the Lions those quarterbacks can do the same things Goff can do? So you see where I'm going with this?
Sure.
The defense is a concern still here, folks. If the Lions get to the Super Bowl, can they? I think it's Mahomes, it's Baltimore, or it's Josh. The concern is you can't. Brock Purdy just got you for 400.
Yeah.
That's just a concern. Everybody got to look at that. I know we want the Lions to win. They haven't won. But let's keep it a buck here. That defense is a concern. What I do like about the organization, lastly, I'll say, the Lions are, their whole entire makeup is wonderful. Keep this thing going. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, coach, backup players, all the way down to the folks at the secretaries, the upper management, the ownership. You're a class organization right now. Don't break it up. Don't mess it up. Because you can win a couple of Super Bowls if you do the right things. I just don't think this defense can withstand those teams. It's hard to beat Green Bay 3 times. It's going to be hard to do that. So new season, maybe that 1 seed they need to get some rest.
Sure.
They've been playing a long, grueling season. It's going to be tough.
And they made mention of it tonight.
It's gonna be tough.
They haven't had a bye since week 5. That's a long time.
That's a long time
That's a
for
long
anybody.
time. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all. That's good. That's a concern. We're in the playoffs now. Next week will kind of be the show. That'll be the test. Can the Lions deal with Darnold playing like he's playing and those 2 wide receivers? And they have a good running back. And again, their defense is number 2. Which defense holds up?
That's true.
That's it.
You are watching The Roar Live right here on My Michigan Television, YouTube, Facebook, and beyond. Of course, we'd like to hear from you, just like Eastvale Joey and Hollywood Reggie got in tonight.
Yes.
That is a QR code on the screen. Just click it and get in on the action. Looking at a little bit on around the league this week. The Chiefs beat the Steelers 29-10 on Wednesday night. Ravens 31-2 against the Texans. Seahawks, they have really struggled.
They have.
And that was a 6-3 game. It was almost like a baseball score.
And I like Caleb.
Right.
Got to get somebody in there to help him. You have to. You got to get somebody. I'm not Seattle's. Can they make the playoffs? Are they?
Let me take a look at this right now. Looking at, because that was what I was going to get into next. They came up with what the playoff scenario would be right now.
Okay.
And if the Lions or Minnesota stay at 1, if the Lions, let's say, get the 5th seed, they would have to travel to Tampa Bay, according to Bleacher Report. The 6th seed Washington would have to travel to LA to take on the 3rd seed Rams, and then Green Bay would have to travel to Philly to take on the Eagles. I mean, some of these teams are going to get punched in the mouth early.
Yeah, somebody's going to go home early.
And then if you look in the AFC,
if you guys went down to Tampa Bay, would you be a little nervous?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't be nervous.
Okay.
I wouldn't be nervous.
Listen, Baker's your guy.
Well, just like Bobby Humphrey said last week, it's hard to beat a team.
It is.
Once, let alone twice in the season.
It is.
So
that's the Green Bay thing I'm saying.
Right.
So we'll see.
If you look at the AFC, Pittsburgh would be the 5 seed against Houston, the 4 seed, as of right now.
Okay.
KC has got the number 1, and I think they might have clinched that.
Yeah, KC's good.
The Chargers have the 6th seed. Baltimore would have the 3rd seed. That would be a good game.
We'll say it again.
Against the Harbaugh. It would be the Harbaughs going at it.
Chargers have a good defense too.
Yeah.
I think Lamar and Henry is just too much for anybody.
Okay. And then, believe it or not, Denver would have to travel to Buffalo as a 7-2. And Denver's been kind of, hit and miss this year.
Yeah, I like the Knicks kid.
They lost this week in overtime to the Bengals.
I like the Knicks kid. He's a rookie, but Buffalo outside of – there's 3 teams that are really scary.
Okay.
Buffalo, Kansas City, and Detroit. Those 3 teams are really scary. Like, they're going to score.
Right.
They're going to score. Mahomes, Andy Reid, Josh Allen is on a whole other. He's an MVP candidate, probably will win it.
Right.
And like you said, golf is played lights out. Golf's thing to me is the game, not the regular season. The game, and we all know what I'm talking about when I say the game. So, but those are 3 scary teams.
Other games, 41-7 Eagles over the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Buccaneers 48-14 over the Panthers.
Yeah.
Bills, of course, beat the Jets. Not a surprise there, 40-14. Can we stop talking about the Jets?
No, I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm not.
Stop talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't blame you.
I do like Aaron. I really do, but it's time.
Yeah.
It's time to go. I think it's time to go.
This is almost as bad as – this is worse than when Favre left the Packers.
Yeah, this is a train wreck. This is even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he hijacked it.
Yeah.
And he made the defense worse. The whole team's work. The whole team just quit. And the thing I don't like about, and I will get past it, we'll go past, I just, like they said, Aaron asked to take himself out and put Tyrod in. Who does that? Like, that is, that's just quitting. Jets got to blow the whole thing up.
Giants played spoiler to the Colts, 45-33. Raiders beat the Saints. You know, some of these
Two
games,
of the same teams playing each other.
Jaguars beat the Titans. Dolphins over the Browns. We talked a little bit about the Vikings, Packers, and then of course the Commanders win in overtime. They clinch a playoff berth.
Talk about a special kid.
Yeah,
that kid's special.
Jaden Daniels has really done it all this year.
Well, he's taken over the best. He's the best quarterback in our division, easy by far. Already as a rookie, so.
You are watching The Roar live right here on My Michigan TV, YouTube, Facebook, and beyond. The Roar question this week: how many, or what position? What position on the Detroit Lions has produced more Pro Bowlers? Is it A, defensive backs, B, running backs, C, linebackers, D, offensive tackles? And Fred from Toledo says, go Lions, this game was meaningless. Bring on the Vikes, all or nothing next week. His answer was B, running backs. We've had a few people say running backs.
Yeah.
I think I picked a good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Austin.
Very good question.
From Birmingham. It all comes down to the Vikes next week. Seeding doesn't matter. Lions are good on the road if they have to play there. A is his answer, defensive backs.
Yeah, okay.
Trying to get them all in here. Donald from Adrian. Great talk, guys. Lions will win the North and the number 1 seed. No worries there. B is his answer, running backs. You know what, though? I'm going to be honest with you. When running backs, you really only can think of Gibbs recently, Barry, and Billy.
Yeah. And I don't even know if Billy made it. I don't even, I don't know if he made a Pro Bowl. I'm sure he had to have.
I'm sure Billy.
Yeah.
I'm sure Billy made it.
Yeah.
Danny from Canton. Oh, here it is. Who was the quarterback from the Barry Sanders 100-yard game? He never caught the answer from a couple weeks ago. It has puzzled me to this day. Corey, you couldn't be any more
right
wrong about the Lions.
I couldn't be more
but
right.
Hey, every show needs some controversy. So the question a couple weeks ago, and I said we were going to look it up, and I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders had 2 100-yard receiving games.
Kramer.
And I did look that up.
Was it Kramer?
No. He had 2 100-yard receiving games. They were 7 years apart. The first one was from Lion great Bob Gagliano.
Okay.
Do you remember Bob Gagliano?
I do not.
91, I believe.
I remember. Okay, I remember the name. I don't remember. Okay, yeah.
He wasn't a Lion great, but
Yeah.
And then of course the other one, which is what I thought had to have been 7 years later, Scott Mitchell in that run and shoot.
Yeah.
So that puts it up.
Yeah.
There.
Go back to the why am I wrong? Let's go back.
He just said
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this: you've been preaching Lions all the way through.
Yeah.
Are they winning the Super Bowl with that defense? Honestly,
Listen,
don't go with your
They're
heart.
going to have to. It depends on if they get Hutch back.
It's a yes or no.
Anzalone-
No Hutch. No Hutch.
Well,
No Hutch.
okay. I think
Honestly.
they have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
That's not a yes or no. Do they win with that defense? I just named you teams that can stop them. I just named them.
But can they outscore them? I mean, the Lions can outscore those teams?
And they can keep up. So Eagles score a lot of points.
Okay.
Rams love the shootout.
But what you got to realize is they don't have to play all those teams. A lot of these teams are going to eliminate themselves.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying they don't have to play this whole roster. I'm just saying
right.
these are the teams that they're going to have to run into. Yeah, I know. Okay. So yeah, but okay, that's his opinion. I love it. Keep calling, man. I think I'm right about everything anyway.
Well, that's true. Sammy from Inkster. Love the show, guys. Corey A. Smith will never have anything good to say about the Lions. Still love you, though. D is his answer to the Roar question. Corey A. Smith. I love it.
No, I think I'm a little more realistic than Stephen A.
Gary
like
from
it, though.
Detroit. Whatever anybody thinks about this season, it means nothing to the playoffs.
Thank you.
Lions didn't have to prove anything tonight. Keep healthy and get back to Detroit for a meaningful game next week.
See, that's all I'm saying.
Gary from Detroit, we want to thank you for that.
And how come nobody's writing about playing? Would you have played the starters?
You know what?
I wouldn't have.
With as much injuries as they had.
Exactly. That's all I was thinking.
But I just think it was, believe it or not, whether it was a meaningless game, but I think the Lions had something to prove
To Frisco. Okay.
That they weren't.
Okay.
I just think that was a
Kind of a get back.
yeah. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay.
That's just me. Next week.
It's going to come down to coaching, too. Don't forget, let's not forget that. Campbell, he'll go for it 4th and 90, I believe.
It's possible. The Lions, of course, have the night game next week against the Vikings on Sunday night.
That's going to be a barn burner.
And this town is going to go crazy if they win.
Yeah, the town's going to go crazy. They deserve it. I don't think they will win. But it's going to come down to, again, honestly, I trust Goff more than Darnold. As well as Darnold's been playing, the kid's been playing lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, lights out. I said it in the beginning of the year. It's up to him. Now, if he comes out there and he gets the jitters and don't put those two kids in that running back and he doesn't complete balls to those two kids, Addison and Jeff, I don't see Lions. I can't see the Lions. They beat them before, but Darnold's gotten better. Just like Goff has gotten better, too. So it's going to come down to who's the better quarterback that night, to me. That's what it's going to come down to.
And I happen to agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Roar question of the week's answer. The question is this. What position on the Detroit Lions has produced more Pro Bowlers? Is it A, defensive backs, B, running backs, C, linebackers, or D, offensive tackles? Between the Roar chat and the Zoom, we've had all of those picked. But the winner this week, the answer to the question is A, defensive backs, but not by much.
Not by much.
13, running backs 12. Now, can you believe there's been 12 running backs that have made the Pro Bowl?
No.
Now, remember, the Pro Bowl goes back to the 50s.
Okay.
So, of course, there's a lot of players that we haven't
delved into yet.
there. Defensive backs, they've had a lot.
But they had like Blades and
Benny Blades.
Yeah, they had
So
defense.
they had
Yeah.
that. And it was pretty close because linebackers, they've had 10.
Dre Bly got hot one year. They had. Yeah.
And offensive tackles, 10. They've had some good offensive tackles.
Yeah, they've had some good players.
They have.
Yeah, they had.
I agree with you.
Yeah, they had some good players. Herman Moore was a great player, good player. Do you think he's better than Amon-Ra? Herman Moore?
Herman Moore?
Yeah, do you think he's better than Amon-Ra?
Oh, wow, man.
That's a toughie, isn't it?
That is a toughie.
Yeah, they had some good players though. They had some good players. They just didn't put it together with coaching, and the defense has never really held up. But this year they got it. They got it figured out. Last year too. Got to the NFC Championship. That's not easy to do. And I don't think they would get back. They could get back. They could get back to it. They could.
Well, everybody, I want to thank you for joining us tonight in the late night edition of Monday Night Football. The Lions defeat the San Francisco 49ers and head back home to take on the Minnesota Vikings next week. Go.
Prediction for you. What's your prediction?
I'm going to go Detroit Lions next week by a touchdown. I won't say a score. I think they'll beat them by a touchdown. The game in Minnesota was pretty close.
Yeah.
What do you think?
35-38.
35-38. Are we going Lions?
No, Minnesota.
He's going Minnesota.
Minnesota comes in.
There's
and
a surprise,
steals.
folks. Corey A. Smith picks the Vikings next week. Well, listen, everybody. Once again, thanks for joining us. For Jared and David that keep things rolling for us.
Shout out to Dave.
And, of course, shout out to Dave Scott.
Shout out
who
to
puts
Dave.
all this together. We'll see you next week hopefully after a Detroit Lions victory. I'm Scotty William, that's Corey Tiez, and we'll see you next time on The Roar Live.
Stay safe, everybody.